it's Shannon, aka QB Crossing, and welcome back to my channel. Today we have a very fun speed build because there is a ton of terraforming. It also is going to be a villager neighborhood on this little spot in my map where the pinpoint is. Just thought that was a really good area because it is really quite big and I can fit lots of houses, lots of cliffs, and just really go crazy with the terraforming. I wanted to do something similar to the cliff sides in Italy that I have been pinning like crazy on Pinterest, so that I just knew I needed to do something like that on this island. I also was inspired by a post by Ali, aka Autumn Weeds, on Instagram and Twitter. I love the way that she had this little sunken area with two inclines across from each other. I also am a big fan of backwards inclines, so this was just perfect for me and what I wanted to do, so really great inspiration. Right now I am just creating the back area of what I plan on having as the kind of like lookout spot, a great spot for photos, and where that backwards incline will go. So ton of terraforming going on for this build. In the middle of it, I really was contemplating how much I wanted to make this because it was taking me so long, but it was worth it in the end. I got my natural ramp there. That's my backwards incline. I know that it's still pretty empty, but once I saw that incline, I felt like the space was going to come together. That's really all it took for me to get my inspiration back. And then as I'm trying to find places for where the villagers go, I always path it out to sort of measure like how many spaces I want between the incline and the house, or houses in general, and just make sure that I get them exactly where I think that they should go. Also, for every house that I put down, I want to make sure that they're surrounded by cliffs so that they feel really nestled in. It will also just like help with the natural aspect of this because once I decorate, I want to have lots of overgrown weeds and flowers. So I think that having this depth and just natural element will help a lot. Also, I just think that nestled houses within cliffs are so cute and they always just kind of make the space for me. So again, going through lots and lots of terraforming, but like I said, that is a really big part of this build, and to really convey what I'm trying to do, I needed to have a big space to work with, and I really needed a lot of terraforming and cliff building. So this will be as sped up as possible to not make this video 7 hours long, even though it probably took me even longer than that. But we are just going to try to get everything laid out, and then once our terraforming is done, we'll get into decorating. But I do want to get my inclines where I want them to go, my houses where I want them to go, and then we'll get into the fun stuff, which is, for me, the fun stuff is the decorating. So once I put that incline down, I wanted to figure out where to put my next villager house. I knew I wanted Gabby to go next to Blair, so I was trying to find the right amount of space from Blair's house, from the incline, and then also from the cliff. So I ended up putting her house here, but I do end up moving it a bit up further, which I will show you a bit later in the speed build. So that was probably the most challenging part of this build because I just kept moving things by one space, and you know how annoying it is to move houses. So once I got Fang on the 3rd level, he was my last villager I needed to put. I redid this space, moved Gabby up just one bit, and it just really helped with the overall look of the houses. They felt a little bit more asymmetrical. Before, she was just too close to Gabby's house and I wasn't feeling it. So just that one space helped a lot. And now that I am happy with where the houses are, I'm really just going to do the finishing touches on the terraforming. So I wanted another layer over here. I want to add a little waterfall somewhere. And then I'm just going to add some cliffs all behind Fang's house so he's nestled in as well. And then add a couple of cliffs just to fill in the space next to Gabby's house. So I'm going to let you guys watch for a couple minutes and I will be back to talk about my process in a moment. So now that I see the terraforming really coming together, like how it's looking on my map, I just had a little piece that I wanted to fix over here, but I'm not gonna go super far out because this is already a really big space to terraform. So I wanted to get right into my pathing, and pathing I really think makes a space, and I'm absolutely in love with this cobblestone path right now. I'll put the code and the creator in the description, but it just is so beautiful. It has so much texture and depth to it, and it just really embodies what I was aiming for with this island. So I want to get some stones in front of each of the houses, and then I'm going to put some more kind of like singular stones here and there with a different path that I have. I also time traveled a little bit so I could get some overgrown weeds. I always find that they never exactly go where I want them to go, but I'm just going to try to work around them because they're so hard to get exactly where you want. So I'm going to go through and finish up the pathing for each of the houses, and then we're going to decorate the cliffs and we're going to decorate each villager house. So be right back. Is go through and fill in where I want all of my trees and flowers to go before I even get started with decorating with items. I just think that for me it helps because trees have so much height, so they kind of fill in the space and help me with the overall composition. And it just to me is an easier way to work than trying to do my natural elements and decor at the same time, especially with a really large space like this. Just to me, it keeps me a little bit more organized because my process is already really messy, so I don't need to add anything more to confuse me or my pockets, which are just always full. So I really tried to do as much of the natural elements first, and that came with a lot of cliff decoration, which to me, cliff decoration is really fun. I just like to fill in spots with flowers and codes and weeds. I don't fill out as I go through every single tile of the cliffs, but I do fill out a good amount. And once I'm happy with how the overall look of everything is, I'll add in some more trees where necessary, some more flowers where necessary. And then once I'm happy with that, I'll get into decorating, and I'll be back to talk about the decorating in a moment. Since this overall area is quite natural, I didn't want to go crazy with the actual item decor, but I still want to make it feel really kind of cute and like personal to each of the villagers. I wanted it to have a little bit of a farmy vibe since it is so overgrown. So I have a little wooden bucket, some boots, really loving the log stakes in this area as well. So I thought that just a little bit of decoration everywhere is enough to make it feel really thoughtful and unique, but without overdoing it. So I decided to put a little garden wagon in front of Blair's house and then a little flower on a wooden stool, almost like she has maybe a flower shop or maybe it's just her personal garden, which to me feels like the right decoration for this area. So you'll notice I keep going up to that cliff just to check out how everything's looking, because when I can zoom out like that, it really helps me see what's missing or where I could use an item or some height. So a lot of the decoration here is nothing too crazy, just some more natural elements that fit in this sort of farmy vibe. And then for Fang, I wanted to give him a bike as well as a little laundry area, which I'll add over to the left side as well. And a lot of the rest of this decorating will be just including as many items that I think fit as I can, and then filling everything else in with custom codes, flowers, trees, bushes, wherever I find an empty area that doesn't, to me, seem like it needs an item. So I also really liked putting that destination signpost there because it fit in so well with the overall look, and I just think that it added a nice little touch for the neighborhood. It's one of my favorite items, but I hate that it is so big and it's so hard to place it anywhere, and I just don't understand why I think it's a tile and a half, which is just such a large size to work with in Animal Crossing. So for Gabby's house, I really went super simple with her house. I think I just was stuck with like some barrels over here because honestly, at this point, I have been terraforming and decorating for what seems like forever. So I didn't want to go too crazy, just enough to fill in the spaces, make it have the right like natural look that I'm going for. And like I said before, didn't want to overdo it. So the rest of this will be mostly finishing touches. So I will be back to talk about the final build in a second. In the final build, and I'm really happy with how it came out. I think it really has this overgrown natural feel that I was looking for. This is Blair's house over here with a little tiny flower shop or garden, some little boots on the floor. Gabby has a similar vibe with a little hand cart and a barrel. And then we have Fang's house up on the top, and I think that the clothesline and bike just work really well for enough simple decor for a house up in the mountains or in the cliffs. And then my favorite part is this little lookout spot. I love how the two inclines look, and I love that you can see a bit of the waterfalls as well as all of the houses. I think that they're also unique but work really well together. So I hope that you all enjoyed this speed build, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!